Welcome to the neXup podcast. I'm your host, PC747, and this podcast is geared up towards the neXup in Android and tech. Technology involving consumer tech, smartphones, and just stuff out there that, if you're a consumer out there, you want to know what to buy, what to expect, what to look out for. I'll break that down here in this podcast. Again, I'm your host, PC747. I'm a fan of technology, especially consumer tech. I have an Android phone here. I have a MacBook. I have a Chrome tablet. I love tech. I love software, and I love talking about it. And that's what my podcast is about, talking about the technology that interests me, as well as a lot of you out there who just love playing around with tech. So, before we get started on the topic, let's tell you what we got going on for today. First, we're going to start off talking about what just dropped. We have some new software that got dropped by Google, as well as some software that got dropped off by Google this week. We also have a 5G battle that's kind of heating up. Who's winning? Who's telling you they winning? And who is losing? And then we're going to talk about a smartphone out there that may be a sleeper, something that you out there may have overlooked. But you know what? You may not want to be overlooking it too long, because it might be something you might want to catch up onto. It may not be a $1,000 smartphone, but you know what? For a lot of you out there, it's a smartphone you've been looking for. So let's get started. Before we start with talking about the topics for the week or this show, I kind of want to update you guys. So my last podcast, I've been talking about how I was looking to find another laptop. And I was looking to go to a Windows tablet or a Windows laptop. So I went to Best Buy looking at a couple of laptops out there and played around with it, brought one home, started setting it up. And I'm not new to Windows 10. You know, we have it at work. I use it every day. And as far as Windows is concerned, I will admit Windows 10 is an improvement over the previous Windows software. Now, they've learned from it. I think it's been an evolution from Windows 8 and Windows 9, it feels like. It's like they're incorporating a lot of the tablet and smartphone interface into the PC setup. So it's kind of have that feel of that while still having the power of, the PC operating system behind it. You still are allowed or able to utilize programs, something that people who are fans of Windows continue to appreciate. But as far as how I feel about that tablet, I keep saying tablet, that laptop, I ended up not keeping it. As much as I'm a big fan of Android, as far as my phone I use, I prefer Android software. As much as I talk about Apple making the best tablets, the tablet I'm using right now is a Chrome tablet, despite it having problems. I'm not a big fan of Apple, but when it comes to computers, I still remain a fan of them, because at the end of the day, they know how to make a computer last, especially, as I said, the Jobs era computers. It's built to last. It's still going strong. And I'm not surprised when I look on sites like Swapper and places like that I'm still seeing the older MacBook Pros selling for as high as $600 to $700, because at the end of the day, these things are actually worth it. They're built to last. They're working, like they're supposed to. A lot of the complaints that people are having with the newer MacBook Pro with the keyboards and all that stuff, well, I'm not having that here. As far as how well it performs up against the competition, for me, it does just as well as any other computer out there, including the new Windows computer I brought back last week. I didn't feel like that computer felt that much faster or any better than the MacBook. In fact, I felt like, I liked my MacBook Pro better. The speakers were better. The display was better. The only thing that kept my MacBook Pro from being becoming the dominant computer over that one was the fact that it couldn't run one program, and that was Streamlabs. And I had to ask myself at the end of the day, how often would I be using Streamlabs OBS? Is it to the point where that computer was worth it? And I thought about it. I said, Not really. So yeah, that's why I ended up still sticking with the MacBook Pro. So yeah, right now I'm still rocking the MacBook Pro. It's going strong, and I have no regrets. As far as comments or any suggestions from people out there suggesting any Windows computer, I have none so far. But I'm still open to anything, open to suggestions to try any computers. But let's go ahead and get started talking about the first topic, and that's software that got dropped by Google. And the topic that just happened, the software that just dropped, Android Q Beta 2. So if you haven't been paying attention out there, Android Q Beta 2 is the next evolution of where we're going with Android. It's designed to kind of give people an idea where we're possibly looking to go. But for me, I feel like where Google is going with their software, I don't know if I can really be impressed by it. Why? Well, because I expect Google to be forward-thinking, be the one who kind of leading Android to the way it needs to go. They're one who is spearheading everything, the field general. They're not that. They're not leading the pack. They're not leading from the front. I feel like they're leading from behind in a lot of ways. Because when you look at some of the things that they've included in the past couple of betas, it feels like it's something that really, if you think about it, it's already been introduced by other Android manufacturers. It's like Google's kind of playing catch up here with their software. And what I'm talking about. So when we talked about Android Q Beta 1 that dropped about a month ago, the big thing that stood out to me, and I think a lot of people, was that they brought out ability to theme. And yes, that is nice that Google brought that out there, except it's too late almost, feels like. I'm not saying I'm against Google finally bringing a theme manager. I'm glad they are. But it's not like it's something new. It's not like it's something that just, is forward thinking, because on my OnePlus 6T that I said before, since I bought in November, I was able to do that same thing that I can do in Android Q Beta 1. It just, now Google's wanting to bring it to their software. And here we are with Beta 2. And here are a couple of things that they brought out there for people to try out. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the pop-up volume channels. And what is that? So pretty much, for those of you who use a Google device, especially like a Pixel, and maybe even something like a Motorola phone that uses a stock Android, when you go to adjust your volume, you have to hit the settings and go to your volume control to manually adjust like your ringer volume, your music volume. If you got a Bluetooth volume, you got to adjust all that. But with a pop-up, the software now allows you, when you hit the volume button, you can bring up a pop-up layup over wherever you're doing, so you can adjust it there. So if you're watching a movie or you listen to some music, playing a game, whatever, instead of exiting that screen and having to go to another screen to adjust your volume, you can actually adjust your volume right there on the spot on that same screen. But you have a pop-up menu, not really a menu, a pop-up layout right there where you can make the adjustment. Now, why that's not forward thinking? Well, other smartphones have been doing that for a while. I've been able to do that on my OnePlus 6T for a while, as well as other smartphones. So, I'm glad that Google's bringing it to their software, and I hope it sticks and make it to the final build, but it's not anything to really be like I should be excited about, like it's something new. The other thing that they're bringing, possibly, as this is kind of more of a beta right now, and it's only able to be introduced to those who use ADB commands, chat heads. Now, chat heads was something that was big almost 3 or 4 years ago. Basically, it was a setup where if you got a text messaging or email, you got a little bubble that you can move all over, and once you hit it, it brings up a little window where you can respond to that chat, what we call chat heads. Now, chat heads has been gone for a while now. It's not like there are a lot of people using it. In fact, the appeal for chat heads is pretty much dead, and yet here it is, Google is looking to bring this back. So I feel like, why are we bringing chat heads back? Now, don't get me wrong. Some people may find it appealing and may say, okay, this may be something that they may allow or turn on when it becomes made available. But I don't quite feel like this is, something that should excite someone out there. Like, all right, Google's doing something different. Now, one thing I will say I do like, and I think is kind of forward thinking that I saw was that now let's say if you watch a YouTube video or you listen to music, so we all are accustomed to being able to pull down your notification bar and pause the music or YouTube channel as well as swipe it away. But now you can go ahead and adjust the progress bar. Why is that important? So if you listen to a song or you listen to something or you're watching something on YouTube, you can adjust where you at as far as progress by moving that progress bar from the notification screen or notification bar. So that to me, I do hope make it to the final build because I can see that being useful. And the last thing that, that's been kind of a big talk as far as the software is, going more towards I say iOS-like navigation. And what I'm saying by that. So iOS kind of moved towards getting rid of the home button with the iPhone X and going more gesture-based. And though Apple was not first to that, they weren't. They didn't make it something that was big for them. And now we're starting to see, we saw it since last year, Google do the same. And Google is now taking a next step forward by making it to where it's more similar to the iOS gestures, to the point where I feel like it's almost copying it. And I don't know if it is because it's something that needs to happen or this is the progression where we're going as far as with the technology. Because when you think about Android, this is the same company when they first came on the screen, when I say on the screen, came onto the scene years back, had 4 buttons. Remember the back button, the home button, the reset button, and the settings button. And now we're down to 3 for most phones. And we're getting to the point now where the only thing you're going to have is the home button. And it's feeling like it's going away from where Google was in the past. And that's not always a bad thing. I'm not saying that, that you can't progress and move forward. I guess my issue I'm having here is I would like to see Google get back to the point of distinguishing themselves from the competition. If I wanted an iPhone, I would buy an iPhone. That's not saying that Google can't bring iOS-like features to Android. As I've said before, I would really like to see Android messaging get some similar interfaces with iOS Messenger or iOS messages. So there are some things I do want to see, integrated into the software, but only those that really need to be integrated. I don't want Google just to copy something just to copy it. I don't see the need to just be like iPhone or iOS. There needs to be a distinguishment between an iPhone and an Android phone. And I want that to stay there. I don't want to get to the point where you pick something up and it feels all the same. To me, I think that's partly why I'm bored with the Windows laptops out there, because they all feel like they're the same. They all seem like they're the same. Will I grab a PC by Asus or Acer or HP? They all look and feel the same. Even though I know the difference revolve around what the hardware is built in, the speakers, the processors being used, as well as the support from the company, it still feels the same. Whether I pick up one or the other, it all feels the same. And for a lot of people, I understand that people may want that, but when it comes to smartphones, I don't want my phone, all phones to be the same. I enjoy having that differences, even at the cost of fragmentation. And those who are been around Android for a long period of time, that word. People complain a lot about fragmentation. And yes, that is a problem as far as not having software on par with each other, as far as they all being on the same build. But I'm okay with it being different. I'm okay with having a phone like Samsung that is different from Motorola, that is different from the Google Pixel, that is different from LG, and different from HTC, who fell off the map. So I want to see Google continue to progress their software in a way that's actually forward thinking. I want them to continue to innovate their software. Now, they've done that as far as their cameras. We talked about a number of times. Well, I've talked about a number of times that when it comes to their camera software, they innovated on that, and they continue to innovate in some areas as far as software that's underneath the hood. But there are some other things that they are so far behind and playing catch up with that it's almost hard to be excited about when you see that this is new into the new software. If Android was a Q was to drop, let's say in a couple of weeks, the final build, and they added all the features that were polished, the chat heads and all that stuff, and everything was polished and it was ready to go. It was software ready. It was ready for everybody to use. I wouldn't be really excited about what was added because there was nothing in that software that says, wow, this is innovative. This is new. This is something that you must download and get now. And it almost kind of puts me in a situation where when we have these debates and with people who are fans of Samsung and fans of other devices, where I tell them that the reason why I prefer a Pixel over a Note or something like that is because I'm getting the latest software. When I'm being challenged with what are you getting that's new that I don't have, I really have no response. Other than the fact that I have a letter difference or a number difference, so I'm on 9.0 or 9.1 where you want 8.1. Other than that, I have nothing that really stands out. In fact, at times this 9.1 build feels inferior to some of the later builds out there because the software that they have in these phones is not here in Google. The theme managers, the ability to do different things on like a Note phone or a Samsung Galaxy S10, that's built into Samsung software is not on Google software. So yes, don't get me wrong. I'm glad we'll continue to get these beta builds. And I'm glad Google will continue to put that out there and change their software and grow the software to beyond where it was before. But I want to see Google do more than just dig up old software ideas that was from the past and put it in software that is in today. Now, yes, they should have been in there a long time ago. I get that. I'm not saying abandon that. What I'm saying is add those, but let's not make that the reason why people should be getting excited about. How about bring out some other stuff to get people excited? Something new, something truly innovative that make people say, now this is the Google, this is the Android that I remember. So that's kind of how I'm kind of feeling with where we at with Beta 2. As far as some other Google software we need to talk about. So Google Plus and Inbox officially went black this week. Now Google Plus, they attempted to try to challenge Twitter and Facebook. They felt like that they can get hot right there, and they were kind of late to the game. They wanted to have a social network. They wanted to kind of challenge that. And really, no one really liked it. No one really caught on to it. Despite Google doing everything they could to get people to adopt it. So much so that in order to change your picture for your profile, you had to use Google+. Yet, people never really jumped on. And you know what? I don't blame them. Twitter had it right. Facebook had their way of doing things. Then you had Instagram and everyone else jumping that brought up something that was different. And Google Plus felt half-baked. It really wasn't something that could get people excited about and get people going. And I'm not surprised it never took off like it needed to. So yeah, it's officially done. It's dead, and it's a project that Google buried. Now, the one that I would like to see stuck around was Inbox. Now, to be fair, as much as I like the interface of Inbox, the way they kind of grouped the mail, such as your purchases and stuff like that, it was nice and everything. But if I was to be honest, I only opened Inbox once in a blue moon. At the end of the day, I kept reverting back to Gmail. Why? Because it's something I knew, something that I was used to, and something that, when I thought about mail, that's what I did. And you know what? I think a lot of people did that. And so as much as, I would have liked to see more of Inbox's interface baked into Gmail, I'm not sad to see it really gone, Out of all the software, or both of those software between Google Plus and Inbox, I feel like Inbox was the most forward-thinking and the better project. So much so that like I said, you do see some of the things from Inbox make its way to Gmail. But at the end of the day, not enough people jump on board to it or jumped on board, and I'm not really surprised. And the last kind of software I want to talk about that, or the second to last, I want to talk about one more that kind of got dropped, is Google Play Movie and TV gets a little makeover. So I was sitting there pull up a movie actually this morning, and I noticed that first I was doing it on my Chromebook, and it froze a little bit. It was asking me to restart for a software update. So restarted, got a software update, and as soon as I opened up Google Play Movies and TV, I noticed a new interface. You have the option now that as soon as you log in, it asks you to integrate some of your other services. So if you had something like HBO or CBS All Access, Stars, Prime Video, the one that surprised me the most, Hulu, or something like that, you now will be able to access all of that through Google Play Movies and TV. And when you open this up, it actually looks very similar to something like a Crackle, where you have one place to go to enjoy all your content. Now, I believe this is a way for Google to be more competitive with Netflix, to have that kind of Netflix feel and Netflix look, have one place to go where you can enjoy the movies. Because if you look at the interface and kind of how it, like I said, how it looks, how it's designed, it looks a lot like Netflix. You have like a bunch of movies that you can choose from, and the way to decide how you to put movies up there is based on what you already ordered or already watched. So, for example, where it showed that, okay, so the last movie you watched was 12 Strong. And I ended up watching that movie like months ago. So, this is actually kind of old. So it suggests other type of movies that's similar to that, such as Rambo or Nine's Company or The Brothers, stuff like that. So, it takes what you've already watched and kind of group other movies similar to what you watch. Very similar to what Netflix do. When you open Netflix, it looks at what you watched before and suggests other shows and movies that you can watch from their, catalog. But what Google is doing with Google Play Music and or Movies and TV is the catalog that you can draw from is not just them. So if you have movies on Prime Video, supposedly you'll be able to pull it up on there, as well as Stars, Hulu, and so on. Now, this is a good step in the right direction. I know what they're trying to do with it. My issue I have with that right now is, one, I wish that you can go ahead and sign in right then, and it'll populate all that you have. For example, there are some things that I bought through Prime Video already that I would like to see that I can log in and it automatically populate right in there, so I can just go ahead and pull it up. I don't want to have to look through their Google suggestion and then click on it and then hope it gives me the pop-up for that. Because pretty much with the way it's set up now, where you have to click on the suggestion they give you, and when you click on it, it gives you a way that you can watch it. The example for that is, so I'm a big fan of Black Lightning, so I actually so I actually have it saved on my YouTube TV. And if you were to click on that right now, it'll give you ways you can watch it. One of the ways it's going to give you to watch it is you can download the CW app. The second way is you can buy the season through Play Movies and TV. And this is my problem with that. So let's just say I actually bought it already through Prime Video, or like in my case, it's already saved through YouTube TV. I would have liked to be able to have other options where I can pull from, especially something like YouTube TV that's a part of the whole Google ecosystem. To have to pretty much use like another app such as a CW or Play Movies and TV for something I've already bought, or buy it through Google's Play Movies and TV, yeah, it's something that I feel like I'm missing out on. But overall, as far as the look and how it feels, I want to play around with it more before I can really, give the thumbs up, thumbs down. But it is a way I can see that Google is trying to change the look, and I give them kudos for that. Also, as far as the TV, the movies and stuff that you can watch, they have Crackle and Tubi TV as options to be able to watch movies through that. If you're not familiar with those two services, pretty much Crackle and Tubi TV are free services. Now, those that watch Crack or listen to or watch things on Crackle and Tubi TV, especially Crackle, will know that when you watch a movie, it's loaded with ads. It's almost like watching a TV or a movie on TV where it's filled with commercials. So, but it's free. So a lot of people are okay with enjoying a movie for free at the expense of commercials. As far as they're concerned, it's no different than watching on TV. But if you're a cord cutter, it gives you another option out there to kind of help you with getting a cord cut. And the last Google software I kind of want to talk about real quick. And this is actually coming from, I saw this on 9 to 5 Google. So I'm kind of waiting to see if it updated on my phone. And that is that you are now able to add instant reporting to your maps. Now, what is that familiar? How is that familiar? If you remember the Waze app, one of the big appeals to Waze, especially when it first came on the scene, is the fact that you can pull it up and see speed traps. And the way it worked is it relied on, other users. So if I had the app or someone else had the app and they saw obviously a speed trap, they could pull up the phone real quick and tap speed trap. And it pretty much let everyone know that in this area, this is reported as a speed trap. This was some of the things that from Waze that I wanted to see added to Google, as Google bought Waze. And, one of the things I said, a while back, Google Maps is a better interface overall, but Waze had the better features. It would be nice if the parent company, Google, would integrate a lot of the Waze features into their much better looking maps. Well, that's what happened. So, yeah, now, you can pull up Google Maps and you can see crashes, speed traps, as well as slowdown. And this comes in handy for, you traveling and you're trying to avoid traffic or see what's going on. You can kind of see what to expect. And this is a nice addition, something that was long overdue. And I'm glad that Google finally added this to their software. So kudos to Google for making that addition. Now, let's go ahead and talk about, I was talking about going out there and, buying a smartphone. So, the big talk right now with smartphones is they're too expensive. You'll pay $1,000 for something like a new iPhone. Or you look at the new Samsung Galaxy S10, going for $1,000 to more, unless you get the S10e, which is about $700. So people like me who kind of tired of $1,000 smartphones, you feel like when you, at the end of the day, even though it do have some nice features, you got a better camera here, better material, it still feels like the same phone that you bought or had already. In fact, only reason why you're buying a phone right now, because your friend have it, or someone at work have it. You want to have something new. You want to have the latest, hottest gadget. But at the end of the day, when you pull up the phone, you're not really able to do much more than what you're already doing for. A lot of you out there, you're using your tablet for watching really, as far as movies. If you want to really get into movies, your tablet's for that. If you really want to get into gaming, you got a gaming system. But your phone is mainly meant to just hit people up on social media, hit people back on one text, and make calls. So why should you spend $1,000 for it? And that's a question that a lot of people have out there. Well, you really don't have to spend $1,000 out there not to get a good smartphone. In fact, I went to Best Buy and picked up this phone, the Motorola G7. It just dropped. $300 for, you get a 64 gigabyte version. And with expandable storage, you could pretty much make do with this phone and do a lot what you want to do with it. Especially if you get the 64 gigabyte model. So if you get the 64 gigabyte model with SD card, you can store all your movies, your pictures, and everything on the SD card and use the internal storage for apps. And you look at the overall look and feel of the phone, it feels like a really good phone. In fact, when I put it next to my other phones, I feel like I'm not missing much. Yes, I have a little bit more bezel than what I have on my OnePlus 6T, and even my Pixel 3 XL over there. But for most people, they can get okay. They're okay with that. And I think, if you get this phone in hand, play around with it, you may be impressed with how well it feels. I mean, just going through the interface right now, I'm not feeling any issues with lag. No problems. I took some pictures on it earlier and looked at them like, well, for a camera that's only, again, on a $300 phone, it's not like I'm missing much here. Especially if you use something like a photo editing software. And with Marques Brownlee's test that he did last year, where he tested smartphone cameras, most people can care less, at least based on what the poll showed, on what pixel cameras they have. In fact, people can't even tell the difference between what was considered a top camera and a bottom camera when online, because with all the software that social media such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram is using, it makes the photos kind of easy to just group all in anyway. In fact, most people, they gravitate for something that has that pop, that saturation, that with the bright colors. So at the end of the day, having a camera such as the Pixel 3 XL, which I love, is awesome for pictures that you want to share or have blown up. But at the end of the day, most people are not going to notice the difference. So if you out there, you're looking for a decent smartphone, but you're not quite wanting to spend $1,000, don't sleep on Motorola. This is the company that pretty much ushered in the hype for Motorola or for Android. And even though they're not putting out the flagships that are up there with the Samsungs anymore or the Pixels, they're not the go-to anymore for what people want in a flagship. Well, they're not a company to sleep on anymore at all. This is a phone that I have no problem not only recommending to someone, but using as a daily driver. Especially for someone who, may be bad with smartphones. If you're someone who, at the end of the day, man, you always dropping smartphones or you always losing it. You're tired of spending the money that you're spending for smartphone repairs, smartphone insurance. This may be something for you as well. And you have nothing to be ashamed about carrying this phone around. In fact, I personally, if I put this phone down, especially when you clean this off, it looks really good. Up against my OnePlus 6T, my Pixel 3 XL, a Samsung phone, I really don't see anything wrong with this. Now, you don't have the in-glass fingerprint sensor, but for most people, who cares? But the fingerprint sensor in the back, I love it. In fact, I love how it's hidden behind the Motorola emblem. This is an awesome phone. And, I'm going to hand it off to my brother and let him play around with it, test it out, and see his thoughts on it, kind of see if we can get another opinion, from someone else. But, right now, this is, my opinion, a good phone for someone out there that want a nice little budget phone. You got a Best Buy nearby. You can pick one up for $300 real quick, especially with it being unlocked. You can throw any SIM card in you want. And if you pick up an SD card, and you're going to feel like a winner with this phone. Right now, this is, I say, something that is going to appeal for people out there, like I said, a working class who just don't have money to keep spending money on $1,000 smartphones. You got other things you can be doing with your money. You got, like I said, car payments. The kids need to go to camp this year. Baseball gear you need to buy. You got a traveling team you need to deal with. Yeah, you need your money. You need that $1,000 to go elsewhere and not on a smartphone. So yeah, pick this up. Especially like I said again, you someone who don't really care about having the latest as far as having the biggest and brightest screen, the most uh, the camera with the most amount of pixels, something like that. This is going to be definitely for you. And the last thing I want to talk about is this 5G battle that is going on right now. So 5G, people have been talking about this thing that's going to be coming up now, this 5G software or 5G technology. And what 5G is going to do is bring, download speeds of up to a gigabyte. And so what does that mean? That means you can download a movie in a matter of seconds. Music, instantly. Games, everything. It's going to pretty much change the way, change everything, with technology, where LTE kind of ushered in a whole new era of technology. 5G is meant to propel that even further. Well, the thing is, we kind of have this push for 5G early. And we saw from AT&T out there who, they did like they did last time with their 4G technology. They want to be in the news for having the 5G out there first. They want to let everyone know that we first on 5G. Even so much so that they were putting out ads for 5GE, which wasn't real 5G, just so that people can associate them with 5G. So they put out real quick that we're one of the first to 5G. We're the first carrier to reach gigabit speeds. We have it on and ready to go. Except when people went over there to test their 5G speeds, it wasn't quite doing so well. In fact, most people noticed that their 5G, or actually 5GE, wasn't even getting the speeds that the LTE, or most LTE speeds were getting. T-Mobile LTE was just blowing away AT&T's 5GE, which is supposed to be their sped up LTE, which, should pretty much tell you what to think of AT&T's download speeds right now. So, with all that put out there, they put out, or there was an article put out by Engadget that said that you could technically achieve the 5G speed if you was to get a Netgear 5G hotspot, something that is kind of hard to get. So, yes, AT&T wanted to be the claim to being the first to 5G. It just, you got to get this special hardware to get it done. Not really special, but hardware from Netgear to make it happen. But then Verizon went on CNBC a couple days ago. It kind of really stole the thunder from them. As like with LTE, there was kind of the first real company to get it out there. So right now, if you live in Chicago and Minneapolis, you should be able to be enjoying 5G right now, as it's on and ready to go. Not only that, 5G is talking about their new 5G home, which is meant to compete with the cable companies. So instead of spending the money that you're spending for Charter, Xfinity, you go over to Verizon and get that 5G home and have faster speeds than you were getting on cable. And this is going to definitely open things up as far as the market, because now you got cable companies out there that's going to have to rethink what they're charging for cable. Because, I remember, calling companies like Charter and like, why are you charging this much for your speeds when, well, I could pretty much get for cheaper, faster speeds on the carrier? And their response was, this is what the cost is, take it or leave it. Well, now you're going to have an option to leave it because, as you get more 5G towers out there and more 5G towers start lighting up across the nation, it's going to really put a hurting and really change the game as far as with where are we going with broadband or a high-speed internet. Now, this is big for people who live in rural areas because there are a lot of people out there who they can't enjoy any or high-speed internet because where they live. And they're not wanting to give up, the peace and quiet of living in the area just for faster internet. So with a company like Verizon who have the towers and have the expanse in these areas, they're going to be able to, bring to people internet speeds that they couldn't get now. And this is what I said, this battle is warming up here. It's getting hot. Because you have AT&T that was banging on their chest and boasting, we got 5GE, at the Super Bowl putting their 5GE ads out there. Talking about where we at, how we're getting, or we're the first to this technology. Until people start calling them out and saying, well, this 5GE that you're talking about is not really 5G. All you did was took your LTE and just named it, kind of like you did with HSPA Plus back in the day. You did nothing new here. But they got the commercials out there. They got the ad out there. And everybody talking about how, or they're not really first. And they're not. And here Verizon just came right in here, just turned the lights on. And here we are. And like last time, I think Verizon will be first to get 5G across the nation, like they did the LTE. And AT&T, they still kind of running their mouth here. Talking about where they're going to get. And it's been proven right now that, their so-called 5G speed is not even close. So AT&T needs to spend less time running their mouth and putting ads out there, how they're so close to 5G, we're here and there, and spend more time just going ahead and just waiting. Because who cares who's first? Who cares at the end of the day, as long as we're getting good service out there? But I understand what's going on. People saw what happened with Verizon was one of the first to LTE. When Verizon had LTE across the nation, one of the first ones to light up the skies with their LTE towers, they had a bunch of people run to their network because, they wanted this LTE speeds. And you had a bunch of other carriers that had to play catch up. And companies like T-Mobile, who was far behind, they suffer from it. Sprint, they definitely took a hurting. You see where Sprint is at now. So I understand not wanting to be behind. Because if you get left behind, that could be the difference between where you at as far as 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can say Verizon are where they are right now, partially because they're one of the first ones to LTE. Now I would say actually where they are right now because of their customer service when they rolled out the Motorola Droid, and everybody liked that and kind of the lack of service that was on AT&T. But you could say Verizon is known for where they are, getting the exposure they're getting because of being one of the first to light up LTE. And they're still living off of that. So I can understand AT&T kind of want to slow that down. But if you're going to try to do that, you need to be turning it on, not try to make people think you're doing something. Because in this day and age, you want to get called out. And then what happens? Then you're looking stupid. When you're telling people you got 5G and people go test out your 5G that's really 5GE, that's not even faster than most people's LTE. And then now you got articles talking about how AT&T fraud, lying. And now you got other carriers out there that want to, quote, sue you out there for making stuff up. So AT&T, less time talking about your 5GE and more time getting your tower built out. Now, as far as T-Mobile and Sprint, where's their 5G network? Why hasn't it turned on yet? Well, they're still trying to deal with this buyout. They're still trying to get it approved. This was announced almost, last year around August, September, where they announced their buyout, but it hasn't been approved yet. So this buyout that everybody was excited about, it could fall through, especially if it don't go through the regulators and they don't sign off on it. It may not ever happen. They still waiting for this to go through. So that needs to happen first. And then after the acquisition happened, they still need to raise the capital to get this built up. So T-Mobile could be 2 or 3 years behind Verizon when it comes to getting their 5G speeds out, with 5G towers turned on. Potentially. Where Verizon, I wouldn't be surprised that by the end of next year, half of the nation 5G towers are turned on. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, when you go to Verizon and you try to get that 5G, 5G, you know you're going to pay for that. You know you're going to pay to be the first of 5G. But for a lot of people out there to jump on this latest and greatest in technology, they'd be all over that. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of interested. Especially if they can roll out 5G in a way where it makes sense. Because if I'm able to get the speeds that 5G promises at the consistency that I'm currently getting with my high-speed internet now, I mean, why would I need Charter Spectrum? Already a cord cutter. I'm no longer using them. In fact, the only reason I have Charter right now is because of high-speed internet. So if I'm now able to get my high-speed internet from somewhere else, why do I need Charter? And you can bet companies out there like Charter, they're worried about that. That's in their mind right now, because now you got people who already are barely hanging on to them. They figured it out. They figured out, I don't need you anymore. I can still get the same channels. They'll watch it with you much cheaper. And only thing that's holding me is that high-speed internet. So, yeah, this is going to be a game changer for the economy. And it's going to end up shifting a lot of where companies are at. This may be it for big cable. And yeah, if you don't have a game plan, kind of how what blockbusters are no longer around. We may get into an era where some of these high-speed cable companies are no longer around. They're done. They're gone because people are not need them anymore. They're not wanting them anymore. Or the whole landscape of telecommunication is just changed forever. So we got to see where this goes and how this affects people. I know for me, I'm continue to be interested. I know it's going to change where I go. Anyway, this is PC747 with the neXup podcast. Pretty much, we covered Android Q Beta 2. What was new? And was there anything to be really excited about? Talked about other Google software. How Google Plus, yeah, they're gone. And really, did anybody really miss them? And Inbox, as much as they brought a new interface, they brought something new to email, it wasn't enough for people to really jump on board. Now they're gone. Google Play Movies and TV. How the new interface is meant to find a way to help Google to look more Netflix-like. Will that be the difference? Will that help them out? Will people care? Motorola G7. The budget phone out there that, you know what, even though it may be a budget phone, a lot of you out there should be looking at it. If you don't like that $1,000 price point that you happen to spend for a Samsung phone, but you want something new, hey, don't sleep on Motorola. It's a pretty nice phone. It may actually be the phone for you. And lastly, this 5G battle that we got going on. This battle between AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint for right now. There are going to be some winners and losers. Right now, Verizon's winning. AT&T, they're losing. And the reason why they're losing, well, because they brought a lot of attention to themselves with their 5G ads and trying to fool people to thinking they're the first of 5G. And now they got a bunch of egg on their face. And you know what? They kind of deserve it. And where 5G is going to go and how it's going to change technology forever. Thank you for joining me in this podcast. Leave your comments below on your thoughts. I'm out.